Hey guys, my name is Bart. Welcome back to my channel here. I wanted to tell you guys an interesting story about what I would probably call thinking back on doing a podcast and a YouTube channel, not this channel, a different one, but for 6.5 or 7 years, 300 interviews just about with people. One of my biggest absolute just fails that I did over that amount of time. I figured I'd tell you about it because now that I've kind of stopped doing that show for the time being. Now that I look back on it, I'm like, it's funny to reflect on these things about how just bad some things can get. It could always be worse, but it's just kind of funny. So anyway, without further ado, without giving too much like specific information about this person, they didn't do anything wrong. It was on me. I made a mistake. But what happened was, so the podcast, it's called Drum History Podcast. You can check it out. You can look it up on that other channel. I interviewed drummers, historians, authors, people who were in the music industry. And this particular person was kind of a legendary roadie or drum tech assistant to a very famous drummer from a very famous band who was big in the late 60s, 70s. This drummer actually died in the 1980s. I don't want to give too much away because you'll find out who this person is. Not that it matters, but I just want to kind of keep their information secret. So anyway, this person, who's now probably in his 70s, I would say, is in England. The band I'm talking about was English. This was that famous drummer's roadie for a long time, like his right-hand man. So anyway, someone who's a good friend for a long time, who's helped me with stuff over the years in the podcast, who's also in England, sent me a suggestion saying, hey, you have to talk to this guy. I just had him on my podcast, meaning my friend had him on his show. And I went, oh my God, that would be incredible. Perfect content, drum history, sounds great, let's do it. So we set it up. I'm trying to think of remember the series of just unfortunate events, for lack of a better term, that led to this weird situation where, okay, so the first thing that happened was we scheduled it. I believe, I guess in Europe, it's more common to use WhatsApp to communicate. I use it here sometimes in the United States, but not as much. So anyway, we text a few times. Communication is a little bit sparse, but it's like, all right, let's meet at 4 p.m. And like, okay, great. And I've learned, let me preface this with, if you do a podcast, a YouTube channel, and you interview people for long enough, you really do learn the importance of saying your time zone, because not everyone is Eastern. I'm Eastern Standard, but a lot of people are in California and they're Pacific or Central, or there's weird little ones that are very different. When you get to interviewing people in like Australia or something, that is extremely difficult, and it's 11 hours, or it's the exact opposite. Morning is night, and it's just very difficult to do. So anyway, I'm usually very cognizant. At that point, I'd been doing the podcast for 5 years. Like it's not something new to me. But anyway, and when I say podcast, I mean YouTube channel podcast. With this show, it was kind of the same thing. So anyway, we set up the interview. For whatever reason, we either didn't say the time zone, or we both just assumed that we knew the other person's time zone. So I hopped on there at like, I forget the exact time. Let's say it was 1 p.m. my time. And he was like, he wasn't there. He wouldn't answer his calls. He wasn't answering me. Again, a little bit older guy, whatever, that thing happened. That kind of thing happens. Later on, I am just like, okay, I waited like an hour. He didn't get on. Again, my fault. I take full responsibility for all this. But he calls me later saying, where are you? I'm on. And it was like, whatever the time, it was like the opposite. It was like, I forget the exact layout, but it was what he thought it was supposed to be. But I, at that point, was like, not even home. And I was with my kids somewhere and I couldn't get there. And I went, oh my gosh, I think we have a miscommunication about the time zone. So sorry, I cannot get back there right now. This was my mistake, let's reschedule. That's not that out of the ordinary. Like, that happens. Anyway, we rescheduled it. And I think what happened the second time is he suggested that we do it another time, and then I get on there, and then he, I think, just plain forgot, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, he said, oh my gosh, my bad, and he forgot, which is like, fine. Okay, so that's number 2. I have learned through this entire process of doing interviews and things like that, that like, if something goes wrong and then you reschedule it, usually if something's gonna go wrong, it's like, what is that, Murphy's Law or whatever, what can go wrong will go wrong. Something goes wrong again with that same person. I've had that happen in different instances a few times. Okay, so that's 2 times, this is not going well. The third time is why I'm actually talking about this, because it's like, what happened here? And actually thinking about this kind of plays into the second time. I think there was some sort of an issue where, all right, so in the United States, you're probably watching this here, if this is a pretty new channel, if anyone's watching this, we have daylight savings time where the clock goes either back an hour or forward an hour, depending on if you're trying to get more sun or less sun. It's all based on, farmers and all that. I'm not going to explain daylight savings time. Anyway, we had something happen where there is all right, so between where I live and where he is in England, somewhere in England, in the UK, it's normally a 5-hour time difference. And I know that because I've done other interviews with people in England. Great, okay, it's 5 hours. I'm doing the math. Let's do it at, noon on Saturday, my time. We'll do it, that'll be 5 p.m. your time. Perfect, we're set up, we're doing this. Daylight savings time happens for me, so noon becomes 1 p.m. or something happens on that day. It's still confusing to me, but for whatever reason, for a 1-week period of time, my time zone, Eastern Standard, and his time zone, we are now 4 hours apart instead of 5 hours apart. There's some weird window where there's 1 week where their daylight savings time, I think this is what it is 1 week later. So the third time we're trying to do this interview, the English daylight savings time, which is a week later, screws this entire thing up. I get on there, it's either I got on, I'm trying to remember this was like 1.5 years ago. I get on there either an hour early or I'm an hour late. Whatever happened, I waited, I then left, I called him, no answer, I tried. Again, it's my fault, I take responsibility for everything. I am at a park with my kids and he is messaging me saying, he got mad and was like, you have wasted my time, I'm done with you, don't contact me again. And I was just like, wow, this has gone horribly wrong because of this weird, I never knew that the time difference in other countries would fluctuate by daylight savings time for a 5-day, whatever it is, period of time, and that totally screwed me over. And I never got to interview this guy who would have been amazing for the show and had great stories, but I guess I learned a lesson to just be more clear about time zones, which, to be honest, I was. You really gotta be, there's weird things that happen, I guess is the takeaway. When you're doing interviews with a lot of people, just be as clear as you can, and just, if there's a weird daylight savings time thing, maybe that will save you a problem down the road. But last thing I'll say is if you're getting into podcasting, YouTube interviews, talking to people, just make sure you specify your time zone. You will get burned if you don't. because do not assume someone is in the same time zone as you, and it can really, really burn you. That's kind of why right now I'm doing these by myself as kind of a change and putting these videos out to kind of get back into YouTube after a few months of taking a break. Is when you do it yourself, you can do it whenever you want. You're not worried about other people, time zones, weird blips in the universe where there's the time, difference between another country changes for 1 week and totally screws you over. But again, if you interview other people, it can make for really great content, and you can grow your channel that way. But anyway, I thought that'd be interesting to share that story of how I completely screwed up 3 times with the same guest. It has happened before where there was another guest, I'll give you a bonus one, where great guy who was on my show 6 or 7 times, became a good friend, but there was one period of time where I kept forgetting or putting it on the calendar wrong, and it happened 2 times, and at that point you're just kind of like, again, if it can go wrong, it usually goes wrong again with the same person. And he was great and laughed it off, but out of 300 episodes, give or take, a little bit less, 280 or something, having a couple mistakes is very normal. There's other technical issues I'll get into in another show, but anyway, I thought that you guys might like to hear that. And it's just fun to talk about this and share these stories on this kind of new channel, new series that I'm doing right now. Talking about these things and my adventures of many years of podcasting and being on YouTube. So if you like this video, be sure to subscribe. This is very new stuff, so I appreciate any help with that. And subscribing, liking it, commenting if you enjoyed it. And I'll just keep doing it and growing this channel. So thanks, guys. See you on the next one.